Welcome everybody to the Anime-Versal Reviews podcast, where we review anime, just like the title says. Well, welcome everybody to the show. We're going to be going over Dr. Stone. Obviously, you clicked on a link with a picture and Dr. Stone in the title. But what's cool about this is the first time other than Jammer and I ever talking anime on like LRMornings. This will be our first dedicated anime podcast of any sorts, and we've chosen or should I say I've chosen and dragged along a couple people, the real big hit from 2019, early 2020, Dr. Stone, and I picked it because season 1 was amazing and season 2 is just about to start. That being said, let me introduce who is along for today's season 1 recap and review and our season 2 episode review journey. My better half, Christine.
Hi.
And my other better half, Brian Brantley.
Hey.
For those of you that might be new to LRM podcasts, all of us, I host a morning show called LRMornings, which you can find right here where you're listening to this at, and Brian and Christine both help with that, amongst other myriad of videos and podcasts and all sorts of stuff, as well as Brian has his own YouTube channel, PulpMythos. That's one word, or PulpMythos. There you go, Brian. See, now I don't have to listen to your shit at the end. A little bit about things here, guys. We're very laid back. Sorry about language if you are sensitive to it. I would like to say I care, but I don't. Because you don't have to listen, but I hope you do, because I hope language made up words, like Thor said, all words are made up. I hope made up words don't bug you. That, and I hope nobody gets upset at any mispronunciations, because we are talking anime here. So real quick, just a round the table surprise. Brian, what kind of got you into anime first? Whenever you were younger or older, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, when I was younger. I'd seen like Sailor Moon on TV. I didn't really watch it much, but that I became aware of anime through that. But it was really Toonami and like Gundam Wing, which was like the thing that thrust me into it, and what got me really into it. And then back in the day, when you had these things called video stores, Blockbuster used to have an anime section, and I used to like check out those tapes. And I remember at that point not really realizing that there were no rules in terms of this is animation, it's for kids. It's like, no, not and really. Checking out those videos and being like, oh, wow. So that would be the beginnings.
Thank God Mom and Dad didn't decide to watch this one with me.
Yeah, Ninja Scroll. What is this?
Oh, God. Christine, go ahead and tell everybody about how great your husband is for introducing you to stuff that's awesome.
Well, first, my introduction was Dragon Ball Z, and I wasn't into it. My brother watched it a little bit, not very much. It was just kind of like if it was on. So since it wasn't my thing, I didn't really go with anything else until you and I got together, and then you had like a whole bunch of stuff. So, and I remember one time you had I looked through your stuff and you had Chobits. I'm like, what are you doing with this girly anime? And I don't remember how you said it, but you were just like, just watch it. And it's good.
It's hilarious. It's highly inappropriate, and it's what usually out of my wheelhouse, but it was just so over the top funny that I do. I've watched Chobits a couple times. It's a good anime. I don't know.
Yeah, like with anime, there's just so many different things. So it's like You know, even if it looks a certain way, it's worth a try, because you never know, you know, just because, like the whole don't judge a book by its cover, because the inside of it could be very, very different than what it looks like on the outside.
Well, so. Brian, are you not counting, or did you not watch Robotech and Voltron when you were like 7?
I did, but I didn't know what I didn't realize it was anime.
Okay.
So I was just going from when I knew that, hey, this is from Japan.
So in that case, I'll do the same as you, because like you, I was watching Speed Racer, Robotech, Voltron, which are all based off of anime. But still pretty early in 96-ish. A buddy of mine introduced me to a few anime movies he had. One called Ninja Scroll. Yeah, Brian, like my first real introduction to real modern anime, Ninja Scroll. Like, holy shit. King of Fighters, one of the Street Fighter animes, and then Dragon Ball movies. He had the Tree of Might, I think, and shit like that. And then from there, he introduced me to another friend that introduced me to Tenchi and Rabbit Hole, you know?
Yeah.
So, I like comedy a lot. What's your favorite type of anime, Christine? I like to laugh. So.
Definitely the same for me.
Yeah, Brian, what do you really dig?
Probably Mech. I mean, that's the one I always go back to.
Yeah.
You know.
NGE and all your Gundam. I know you're a huge Gundam fan, both the UC and some of the or not UC. What is it called?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, UC and some spin-off stuff. I know how much you love Seed, right? That's the one that you love the most, right?
No. Incorrect.
No, it was SD. Yeah, that's right. That was better than Seed, you said.
Yeah.
Seed was your second favorite.
SD might have been better, honestly.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about any of that. I think, Christine, what is your favorite? Sorry to skip out, ask Brian, and ignore you.
My favorite type. I had agreed with you.
Oh yeah, the comedy thing. There we go. Yeah. Okay, well, you guys also no, I'm brain damaged, so I got a lot of stuff written down. So, anyways,
we're here to help.
Here we go. So Dr. Stone is a really it's got several volumes out in the manga. I have avoided it like it's the plague because I don't want to be spoiled at all. That's how good this anime is to me. It looks a little weird at first, and when I found out that it was going to be on Toonami at first here in America, I kind of like pushed it off because I haven't seen a lot of gold from Toonami recently, but I watched it on Funimation one night, several weeks after it had already started its simulcast, and dude, just something hooked me about it. A post-apocalyptic show that's not like anything we've ever seen. It's not like some group of humans got to stick around the way we've seen in stuff like Mad Max or even stuff like, I guess the closest this thing is Horizon, but it's very, very cool, very, very, very different. But I was wondering, Brian, if you were to sell this to someone to watch, somebody's never watched this show before, how would you pitch it to them to get them to watch it?
I would. There's a couple examples of things that it reminds me of, but none of them connect. Which is the weird part. It's like if Beakman's World and Conan the Barbarian with a little bit of Land of the Lost and Doctor Who. It's like, you know what I mean? I like the apocalyptic aspect of it, but I love the fact that the thing that sold me on it, the thing that got me loving it, was its intelligence and science that's used to further the plot every episode, and that was the thing that I thought was very unique.
Yeah, that even when there is an ex machina moment, that it's somewhat earned, or at least more earned than in other instances.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Christine, what about you? You gotta convince somebody that Dr. Stone is the thing to watch. What are you saying to them?
Well, I would just describe, in general what it is first, and then put my thoughts into it. So it's, everybody turns to stone, and then like over 3,000 years later, this high school genius breaks free, and he's trying to rebuild society with the help of his friends. It's fun to watch what the main character Senku does, trying to bring back technology, and I'm just always surprised with like what he does next, and it's a lot of fun to watch, and there's a lot of funny moments, and it's educational.
Yeah. I like that educational part about it. While plenty of people have broken down where some of the science is wrong, or where, there's a little bit of guesswork here, or that's really convenient, this, that, or the other. Yeah, of course, it's still anime, it's still entertainment. Mm-hmm. But I think this is a fairly decent, wholesome. There's not too much over the top adult stuff in this. I think way to get people interested in some STEM, because there's some experiments that you can do straight from the show,
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that's a pretty freaking awesome aspect of it. I love the world, the comedy, the science, the story, the soundtrack. There's certain tracks that sound like they were written by I think it's Yojiro Hamada or Yamada from Radwimps, the band, and the guy that leads that band composed music for Your Name and Weathering with You. So I love all that aspects of it. But let's get into the show a little bit. On June 3rd, 2019, the entire world's human population is turned to stone. This followed a brief time where there were reports of stone birds being found. We learned that from Senku later on. We learned that they are actually swallows. And boom, everybody turns to stone. And 3,000... Riza's barking. 3,715 years, 241 days later, our lead Senku wakes up and finds that his body was covered in stone, and now he's awake, naked, alone, surrounded by nature, not a city, not anything, and everywhere he looks, he sees gray, rocky human statues. This type of post-apocalyptic setting, and you guys got to remember, none of us have read the manga. So we don't know things that are going ahead. So keep manga spoilers out of conversations and things we ask for those that are following just the anime. But this type of apocalyptic happening, Brian, I've never seen it before, and was blown away by just the story potential from this event alone. What about you?
Yeah, and like you said, based just solely off the first season of the anime, that mystery is still not solved. Mm-hmm. What caused this? I also like the fact that it's such a massive time jump. Like, like you said, thousands of years.
3,715.
So much of the world has changed visibly, and, structures are gone and technology lost, et cetera, et cetera. And so that big of a jump in time, every episode you would learn more and more about the world they're in, and you would have more and more questions. And that was also something interesting about the show is the continual, like, well, what about this, or what, and I'm sure we'll get into more of those detailed discussions here soon. But yeah, as far as the setting and specifically the time jump and the mystery, yeah, I was hooked pretty quickly.
Well, what about you, Christine? You like some dark and grim futuristic type stuff, but was this pretty cool to see versus like the as far as we know, the stereotypical robots take over, or humans nuke themselves to the Stone Age or something,
Yeah, I don't. Sometimes it can just get kind of annoying watching like a post-apocalyptic show or movie where everything is just doom and gloom, and it's nice to get like a fresh take.
Yeah, I agree. I'm down with it. So yeah, guys, that's how we get into this. But before we can get into each episode, there's a few characters that everyone needs to know about. We talked a little bit about Senku. You guys have heard his name often. For those of you that are totally using this to not watch all of season 1 to prep for season 2, that's cool. We got your back. Senku is actually born January 4th in 2004. Frozen in stone, breaks free on April 1st, 5738. Natural fucking high IQ, but dude is not perfect, but by any means necessary. And he's not born with unlimited knowledge like you see some. I'm a huge anime fan, but I'm terrible at understanding all the terminology. There's a word for this genius character archetype, and I can't remember, but he doesn't fit it perfectly because he had to earn his knowledge. We see him study and stuff like that. There's a point in his life where he says, I want to know, I want to go to space, and therefore to do that, I need to know everything. And he applies that. Christine, not to brag, but you and I made a pretty smart kid. Mm-hmm. Intelligence is something you have to keep and work to.
Yeah. You have to
nurture
it. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And I like how like you were saying that he's not perfect. He tries to get it right. Trial and error, with certain things that he's doing, like for example, like pottery. He didn't have the skill, but he eventually got it. And even then, I wouldn't say that he would be perfect at it because he's not really like wired that way. Mm-hmm. He's wired toward other things, but it's doable, passable. Like he's not gonna be making anything artistic out of it or anything, but he can use it.
As a genius character in an anime, Brian Senku, brush of fresh air, is he not?
Yeah, he's great, and that thirst for knowledge that he has is sort of a theme that runs through the entire season. Mm-hmm. And then obviously we'll get to it, but there's another character that mirrors that, and but yeah, Senku, that was. I mean, look, if as much as he's in the show and he's in it a lot, your lead protagonist has to be appealing, can't be annoying. For me, that's one of my biggest pet peeves with anime is sometimes you'll have a great anime, but a character annoys me or whatever, and I'm done. This show didn't have that, and Senku, he's a great lead.
And brought to the I say adult, but he's a high schooler. Senku is brought to life by the same guy that brought Alphonse Elric in both versions of Full Metal Alchemist to life. What's his name, Christine? Aaron Dismuke or Dismuke or something like that. Anyways, yeah, Aaron famous for Full Metal Alchemist and other anime, but he does the voice for Senku, and it's like I've watched Full Metal so many times it's like, I don't hear it nowhere. It's weird.
Well, yeah, he's a voice actor. Like, there's, they can do all sorts of things that I can't. So it's impressive.
But others, like, I'm sorry, but I can almost tell anytime Billy West is doing a voice, it's like, yeah, that's Billy West. Right, Brian?
Yeah. And I love Billy West.
Yeah, it's not a hit against it. It's just, it's kind of like Sean Connery. Billy West just barely tweaks his own version of his voice. He's been using it since Ren and Stimpy or before, maybe. Anyway, Hayes. Another character we all need to know, Shishio Sukasa. Strong high schooler, kind of fascist. Has his own idea of a master race. He is woken up, as we'll find out, in a moment of need. He's kind of a polar opposite of Senku, where Senku's all about technology, waking the whole world up, and not just getting back to 2019 tech. Senku says he wants to go beyond it, which is really cool. Tsukasa, on the other hand, they almost try to make it seem like he's socialist with some stories that they tell about him. I don't like the rich. I don't like the landowners. People shouldn't own this, that. They shouldn't tax the young. Blah blah. This is his philosophy, and he becomes the main antagonist, philosophically, and not so much physically throughout this first season. But there's a fatal flaw in Sukasa, which I'll get to in a second. But I'll ask Brian, what do you think about the Sukasa character? What you do find and meet
when he's introduced? Doesn't he punch a lion, or
fucking
what is he?
Punches a lion.
So that, they're showing that he's brawn, he's strong, he's very dangerous character. But in terms of his politics, he wants to be king. I mean, he builds a throne. I mean, we see it.
He doesn't even believe in the same shit he's espousing.
Exactly, and the people that he is bringing into his kingdom that we see, I mean, they're a very specific type. So no, you're right. He wants to build it in his image, in the way he wants it, and he wants to rule it. And but we don't get a whole lot of that, and we'll talk about that as this goes on. But yeah, that's my thoughts on him.
And then two villagers I want everyone to kind of get a quick head start on before we get into the breakdown of the episodes. Chrome. Chrome is what I say Sukasa doesn't count on. Chrome is a scientist, but one that doesn't know he is. A kid that got interested in shiny rocks and sticks and stuff, and the way things worked, and brought a form of science to his village. And this is all before Senku gets there. Don't worry, we'll explain, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Sukasa's philosophy doesn't count on, is that fact that someone that Sukasa could wake up from the stone could one day say, yeah, I'm all about this stone world, but eventually miss the internet, and they happen to be as smart as they are strong, and boom, off you are to the races. Christine, is Chrome not an example of that kind of endless cycle theory of creation, destruction,
yeah,
scientific discovery, and whatnot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just basically said it. So yes. Keep going.
He's in love with the village priestess, Ruri, who has a sister named Kohaku, who's the other character I think we need a quick step on. She's the fighter. Both of them, Chrome and Kohaku, were born in 57 and 23. So I think when we meet them, they're like 16. Yeah, I think maybe 17. Anyways, she's kind of an outcast, but she's chosen that life for a very, very specific reason. She's the one that finds Senku and kind of announces that there are other people on the island of Japan, at least. What did you do you not agree, Brian, that these are probably the two most important for this season villagers for the story?
100%. Yeah. Those are clearly the leads in the first season. We'll see what happens in season 2, but yeah, no, absolutely, because those two characters surround Senku on his quest as far as what it is he's trying to accomplish. Those are sort of the primary people helping him achieve the goals he's setting out to achieve. So yeah, I agree.
Cool. Christine, do you have anything else to say on any of the characters or anything before we
do get a brief, just a little bit of Taiju and Yuzuriha, but I'm thinking we're going to see more of them in season 2. But we start off.
We're gonna start off right with them. So the cool thing about this series is it's actually broken down into chunks, and I think I named these appropriately. Tell me what you guys think. Episodes 1 through 6 cover the Stone World. They get us from the event there on what I say it was October 4th or something like that, 2019. Where'd my page 1 go?
July. Was it July?
June 3rd. June 3rd. It gets us from June 3rd all the way to where Senku discovers the other villages or the villagers that there is a village. Okay, so that's the Stone World, episodes 1 through 6. Then you have the Stone Road and the Grand Bout, episodes 7 through 15. That's trying to get the medicine, and the Grand Bout's tied directly to it. So I kind of figured those go together.
Sure.
Then I cleverly said 16 and 17 are Back to the Future. Brian, you like that?
Yeah, that's accurate.
And then hold on, 18 and 19 Back to Reality.
Oh God.
Yeah. I'm good at this. And then I borrowed again from the show for episodes 20 through 23, which is the voices across infinite distance, and there is a bit of an epilogue episode. So, you guys think I got it down pretty good?
Yes, you did a very good job.
Not just the names, but like the way it's broken down.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's do it. The Stone World. Taiju, Yuzuriha, two high schoolers that have feelings for each other. Taiju, loud, obnoxious. He's actually the first thing we meet. The first voice we hear is a character by the name of Bakuya, but we don't know him yet. But the first character that we actually see and meet is Taiju yelling about Yuzuriha to Senku about how after 5 years or some shit of crushing on this girl, very stereotypical anime, to spend 5 years pining after someone. But we get a great introduction to exactly who Taiju is and who Senku is in this first 60 seconds, where Senku's like, okay, here I don't care about your ridiculous feelings because you've had them for 5 years and it's stupid not to say it a long time ago, but here's a magic love potion that'll increase your pheromones, so she'll say yes, and Taiju dumps it out, and everyone in the classroom's like, oh my god, you really made a love potion, because they all believe Senku's capable of it firstly. But he's like, no, it's gas. I knew Taiju wouldn't take it. That speaks mountains to the characters. Bravo to the writers and everything, because you learn so much in such a short amount of time, right, Christine?
Yeah, with that cover, they know each other so well that, I mean, it is funny though. Like I don't know why. I guess like just to be funny, offering it to him. Here, drink this love potion. It'll get your lady love, and yeah, it's funny there.
It's
awesome.
It's a pretty good introduction, and actually ends up throwing you off as the first few episodes go on a bit, does it not, Brian?
Completely, because I mean, yeah, the main, you think these are the main core characters, and it's like, nope,
not yet,
not exactly. Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. It's something about Senku's character that you learn right away. The guy actually does care for his friend. He wants his friend to be successful, and he basically bolstered his friend's confidence without his friend realizing that's exactly what he did. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that's different from most of the genius characters out there that lack empathy, lack sympathy. Senku pretends to lack empathy or sympathy.
Kind of.
He legitimately cares, though.
But yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the same, way of thinking. Like some things just don't really matter. Like one, for example. Well, I guess we can get into that later. I don't know, the not having a interest in romance or anything. He says it in the first episode, so I guess I can go ahead and say it now. But that's not where he is in life. It's not what he wants. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, he does care about his friends. Yeah,
absolutely. Brian, cool introduction. Oh wait, no, we already asked you that. Anyways, carrying on. Taiju goes out to tell Yuzuriha his feelings when he sees the green light. That signifies the petrification event, and we see a horrific event happen. We learn during this scene, as this light spreads and people are turned to stone, they're awake, at least for a little bit, screaming in their new stone prisons, falling from the skies, and their airplanes crashing, dying. Pets that are on leashes are attached to their stoned owners, and I don't mean stoned in the fun Colorado way. I mean legitimately. It's a horrific event, Brian, is it not?
Yeah, and that's made very clear in the first handful of episodes that they're conscious of they're not asleep, they're not dreaming, they're aware of what's happening.
Yeah, and they can fade in and out, and we'll get into a little bit more about that. But even before the first fade out, just not knowing what's going to happen, and then of course, like they show a plane crash of stone people. Chris, imagine being stuck in your stone body and not even being able to scream as your plane plummets out of the air.
Yeah, there's something you could do, or like being in a tall building and then all of a sudden it starts to collapse.
Oh yeah, like a thousand. Yeah, like 1,000 years later, Brian, you blink back in, and your building's collapsing, and now your leg is gone.
and we learn, like you said in the first couple episodes, depending on where you were when you froze, will dictate whether or not you even have a shot.
Yep.
In the future, yeah, absolutely, and they do a good job of showing that.
They do. After the horrors, they start showing us what happens when humanity ceases to exist. The nature reclaims buildings and man-made structures as much as it can. The massive time jump of 3,000 years really makes sure that very little of mankind would be very likely to survive. As a matter of fact, the only thing we see to survive is a bronze Buddha statue. Mm-hmm. And so that means, out there some other bronze statues, maybe not the Statue of Liberty because of the water closeness to the water, but for the most part, it's all gone, and all of a sudden, Senku wakes up. Right? Or no, wait. I think Taiju wakes up first. How does it happen in the show?
Taiju, I don't remember the order, but it's the dripping.
Taiju.
Yeah.
That's how the first episode ends up with Taiju waking up, and then we do a flashback to Senku being the one to be awake. But I think what's important is to do it chronologically. Senku is the first one to awake, like I said, on April
1st, I think.
April 1st, 57. What did I say? No, it's on his character page.
Okay.
April 1st, 57:38 is when he wakes up, and we learn that he himself was fading in and out. He was counting because he wanted to try to get up during the spring for obvious reasons, temperature, available resources, things would be drier, blah, blah. That he fades out roughly every 8,000 seconds that he counts, which is 9.3 days of solid counting. Imagine that, Brian. Senku could legitimately count 1 second at a time for 9.3 straight days before he would kind of fade out and come back in. He brings Taiju back 6 months later because, well, he needs some brawn, and he doesn't quite know how he came about, but he theorizes that it has something to do with the bat guano, which was located near where Senku himself wakes up, and Senku's drive to wake himself up, and that Taiju would have a similar drive to wake up to get to Yuzuriha, and so, boom, there you go. And then those two spend 12 months figuring out the perfect revitalization solution. We get to meet Sukasa about a year after Senku is awakened, and our Taiju is awakened. They've got that thing perfected. Sukasa is awoken to help protect Senku and Taiju from the lions that he fucking punches in the face. Yuzuriha is going to be awoken. They're going to flee. There's going to be some gunpowder stuff. Flashbacks to young Senku, and the new villagers. This is, it's a lot to go over. So Brian, start chunking down some more of this stuff after Senku and Taiju are awake. How you feel about it and stuff? Not that you got to re-describe what I mean.
It's well, we approach the point where the revival fluid is sort of the first quote invention, and that's yet again a thing that carries throughout the series is him creating tools. The next big thing after that is what they're trying to make a gun, right? Well,
he wants they do things like soap, which he needed some of the calcium carbonate for. He mentioned I can't remember all four.
He said four things from the shells. It was the soap. It was what were the other two?
I can't remember. And then gunpowder is the fourth one, but he doesn't say that at first. But yeah,
but this also starts the portion where he realizes the potential threat that he's unleashed, and so he's working secretly. He's doing things, but he's not saying everything in order to start making, and he starts planning things. He's like, okay, well, how do I take out this enemy if I need to? What do I do? So the conflict of the show, outside of the, people turning into stone, is starting at this point as well.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. I think everything leading up to the Sukasa split, where Sukasa has broken statues. He's made it clear his beliefs. Senku's made it clear his beliefs. They kind of leave for a moment. Senku uses subterfuge to get rid of Sukasa by saying, "Hey, this is where the revival fluid is at. We need more to get Yuzuriha up." But he ends up waking Yuzuriha up and taking her to flee. Their goal is to go get sulfur to mix with the other stuff that they already have, make gunpowder. And again, to Senku's character, he's even asked by Yuzuriha, "Are we going to kill Sukasa?" And he's like, "No, we're gonna try to negotiate with him." And he reminds them of an event that happens between Sukasa, who's incredibly strong, and Taiju, who's incredibly durable. And Taiju's like, "Instead of breaking statues, why don't you just wail on me?" Because Taiju doesn't get that he's not breaking statues because he needs to vent, you know? So Senku deduces that they can negotiate if they get gunpowder, because we'll blow you up, leave us alone, or we'll blow you up. We'll invent guns and kill you. You go do you, leave us alone, basically is what he wants to do. And it's a good idea. And we get our first Mecha Senku appearance when they give the real live recipe for gunpowder on television, Brian.
Oh, those are great. Yeah, I just like the way it's told. They do a nice breakdown of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And it goes to that Beekman's World aspect of the show.
That's the real thing. So that means you can make a bomb. So don't do this. Don't do it at home, or don't try it at home, or whatever he says.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
remember. Didn't they do that on MythBusters? And it was hard to make their own.
I think that was
something that they were doing that was like that, and buying it worked better than making their own. So
yeah,
I think that was the gunpowder. So it's like, I don't know. I think it's not too scary.
Remember, gunpowder is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. So, of course, Taiju would accidentally set off the goddamn gunpowder, and we actually get a response. Somebody sees the smoke from it and sends up their own smoke signal, which causes Senku to want to send up 3 more signals, or a certain number of signals, to see if they respond. Make sure it's a person, not a fluke, lightning strike or some weird thing that happened, Yeah. But Sukasa eventually shows up. He takes Yuzuriha hostage. Senku makes a play. He knows that the revival fluid heals wounds to a degree. They're kind of vague on exactly how it works. They try to connect it to the cracks. It might be lost in translation somehow. But he basically convinces Sukasa to spare Taiju and Yuzuriha. In exchange, Senku will die and give Sukasa the revitalization formula with the alcohol, the correct ratio. And Yuzuriha catches on. Taiju is able to help her and Senku's so-called or thought to be body escape. And then they escape, and there's where we get to meet past Senku, learn about the nurturing of his IQ by his stepfather, his friendship with Taiju, and his journey of learning and really trying to get to space as a freaking 6-year-old kid. Like, I enjoyed the flashback stuff. Christine, what about you?
Of course, and it's just it's funny to see a little kid who's like just so determined. You know, a lot of kids, there's all different types of kids, I should say, but he's just like, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do it. I've set a goal, and I'm going to accomplish that. And normally, I don't know a lot of kids who are like that. It's just more like, I want to go play. So it's, I don't know, it's cool.
Yeah, Brian. It's the first 6 episodes can be hard to get through, but it's the little things that I just mentioned that keep you going through some of these slower parts of these first 6 world building episodes, right?
Yeah, and it very much is sort of a first little arc, because it has a beginning, middle, and roughly an end. Mm-hmm. Going into the next story. You told me going into it, because you're the one that recommended I check out the show, and you're the reason I even did and loved it. But you had told me that the beginning I might have a little issue with it, or there could be it's a little different, it's slower. I didn't have any issues. I remember watching. I think I watched all those in one sitting, even, and was very much into it. Now, I was surprised that the 2 of the characters were pretty much gone for the rest of the show.
Yes.
That was surprised. That did catch me off guard, but it made me even more excited, though, because I thought, well, shit, the setup for them is so instrumental in who Senku is. Clearly, they're going to come back in future seasons, and that's going to be a major story going forward. Yes,
and they do basically show us that at the end of season 1, where Taiju once again yells at an inappropriate moment. You're right, Brian. We basically say goodbye to Taiju and Yuzuriha here. Senku is brought back to life with the revival fluid, because part of his neck where he tricked Sukasa into hitting him still had stone on it, and so when they pour the revitalization, it heals it, and boom, there you go. Senku is back, and he says, "Hey," to Yuzuriha, "go infiltrate Sukasa. Stay near. I'll be in touch. I'm going to go find that village and create the kingdom of science, and I'll come for you guys." And that's the Stone World.
Yep.
And like Brian said, that's a good beginning, middle, and end. And you
Yeah, I think you covered all the first 4 episodes, right?
6, yeah.
6. Yeah,
you could almost consider that like its own little mini what are they called?
Season?
No, Brian, in anime, OVA.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So the Stone Road and the Grand Bout, as Taiju and Yuzuriha leave, Sukasa has a showdown with a blonde-haired girl we know as Kohaku, who he figures out that she's not someone that was revived, because she talks about Mighty Mountain Roar and Sorcerer, and uses strange words, and he's just like, wow, you definitely have no idea about the past. I keep saying the modern world, but I mean the past. Yeah. 2019
civilization.
Civilization. He knocks a tree down on her. Senku rescues her using a pulley, and they spend the night talking a little bit just to get to know each other. She doesn't quite trust him, but she's like, I like you because you think things through. You did exactly what you said you were going to do. And for that, I want to introduce you to somebody at my village, and for helping me, I'm gonna take you there. So yeah, that happens, and we get to the village, and God, so much goes on. The village has got, maybe with kids and retirees, 60, 70 people. She says there's 40 adults, not counting the kids and the retirees. Kohaku does. There's a hierarchy. There's a village chief, a priestess who maintains the village's history, even though they have written word. Like they have the ability to write and draw. They have a paper type, substance and wood and rock, and it's weird that the priestess has to memorize everything. But anyways,
100 stories,
100 fucking tales.
Yeah, it's a lot
to pass on for well, we'll get into how long they were passed on for. So the priestess, her name is Ruri. Like I said, we're going to meet characters like Magma and Suika, Ginro and Kinro. The guards are met very, very early on. But the whole point of this is Senku learns that Ruri is sick. She's got a cough. It doesn't go away. She's had it most of her life. And he thinks that there's a chance that he might be able to help her out with an antibiotic. And basically, slowly, through some less than savory methods of subterfuge and or not subterfuge, but bait and switch, maybe with the ramen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He gets everyone on board that he can to save this priestess, and eventually gets the entire village on his side, including accidentally winning this grand bout, which is how the village decides who its new leader and the husband of the priestess will be. We learn that this will actually be the second grand bout for this generation, because Kohaku won the first one, defeating Magma, and the village didn't quite know what to do, because they're like, well, she can't marry her sister, and so we're gonna say redo.
Yeah, because that's gross, and you can't.
But there's a lot of inventions that go into this, guys, and we can't cover them all. So let's go on a few very, very important things. First off, Genro and Kinro and Chrome, meeting them, the bubble scene.
I love that.
The sorcerer showdown with the rainbow bridge.
Yeah.
And then the final showdown of Senku versus Chrome on math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Kohaku's like, I'm thinking that he's about to wipe the floor with you, and then Chrome's feeling defeated. It's like,
but
you'll learn.
Brian, you're the one that alluded to the Chrome character earlier. So when you met him and got to see Senku see Chrome, I know what I felt and thought at the time. What went through your mind with those two meeting up?
Well, Chrome is Senku's whole conflict in the beginning is the idea of, okay, what is the world now? What should we strive for? And Chrome answers that question for him. There are still people that are being born with that drive for knowledge, with wanting to better, technology and their community around them. And so Chrome is a symbol to Senku, and they start out as rivals very briefly. Because they're trying, Chrome's trying to figure out who the hell Senku is and why he has the knowledge he has, but they become partners, legit partners, and that bond gets really strong, and then, they're basically best friends, as the story goes on. Chrome is a great character, and he, like I said, he comes in a little later. He's not in the first handful of episodes, and yet he has a really impactful presence. And then the other two, the guards, they're fun, and they both have their own stories, and there's a lot of stuff that happens with them as time goes on. Specifically, the spears,
the gold and silver spears, which is fun. And it's funny because as they introduce even little minor characters, there's a lot of depth to them, and you'll get backstories, and you'll learn more things about them. By the end, you really feel a connection to this town. Magma is an asshole who. And you start to like him a little, skipping ahead a little bit. You do like him a little more later, but his initial plan is just evil. I mean, not only does he want to be in charge, but he has no intention of keeping Ruri around. In a very, he's gonna kill her. I mean,
I know.
I was like, what the hell?
I never got that. Like, why would you want to kill your new wife? Like, it's like she's the holder of knowledge. She doesn't have the power that you do. They just protect her.
Yeah, it's not like you can't go tag something else that's not coughing all the time if that's your, the reason you're upset that you got to marry her is that she's sick and you might not have a great bed life. You're the village chief. Go do what every other village chief
the rules, and even though I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but it's still like killing, like that's where your brain
terrible.
is. That's just weird and horrible.
I mean, they redeem him a little later, but still that was rough. There's a character you didn't mention who's pretty prominent, and I was very afraid when I saw, and that Suika.
Yeah. Yes.
A little kid with a stupid little melon helmet, and I remember when the moment I was like, oh no, not this. But I was blown away that the character was not really that annoying. Matter of fact, not really at all, and actually plays heavily into the story, dealing with the whole needing glasses and how that plays in to the tournament. So I was pleasantly surprised that here's a character that by design I typically would hate in an anime, and I didn't in this.
The cutesy that's supposed to be there for your little sibling while you watch this anime show that's slapstick comic relief or some stupid exposition piece. Yeah, I got it. And Suika is definitely she fulfills some of those roles, but in a good way. And she's not annoying.
To her character, it's it's not just there just to be there. It has a purpose.
Mm-hmm. She has one of the greatest moments in season 1, which we'll get to. But the next big thing on the list is Ramen and Asigiri Gen. Gen is someone that is a past revived. That's what we'll call them. He's revived by Sukasa. Ramen is actually something that Senku decides to make in order to get laborers for
I love all that. So
yeah, to be able to heat up steel to make iron, or heat up iron to make steel. And Gen shows up right in time for the ramen. They make a generator when they manage to melt the iron and get their steel, and light a fucking light bulb, and legitimately, this is one of those science things where if you follow it, and I've seen people online that, it's a little coincidental on how easily it worked out, but this could really happen. Dude just made electricity before he made a gear, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, a few things worked, like the magnets, the lightning storm and everything. There's certain things that worked out, well in his favor. But no, yeah, as these things keep coming to light, you're like, well, what's he going to do next, and for what's he going to use it for? Mm-hmm. And then Gin, my God, what a character, and probably might be my favorite if I, when I really think about it, and especially what he makes for him. I don't know if you're going to get to that. But
I will.
But yeah, great character, appears at the perfect time, and is very I love the mystery. Yeah, I'll just say that.
Yeah, because we know Gen comes from Sukasa, but he blatantly says out loud to everyone, I'm going to be on the winning side no matter what, and I just want whatever's gonna make my life best for me. He calls himself selfish, but he turns out to be very unselfish. One of the sweetest moments comes about after they've decided, hey, we're gonna need this. We're gonna have to win this grand bout thing. Gen is actually attacked because he had done a magic trick, like a legitimate, disappearing magic trick to get Magma to leave Senku and the science crew alone while they made the magnets for the generator. Gen is healing during this. Suika, we find out she's nearsighted. They call it the fuzzy sickness, the villagers, people that can't see very well. And we get the next invention, Brian, like you were talking about, glasses. They glass itself. Christine, I thought the music, the animation, the reveal for this little girl that's never seen clear in her life, the quality of the scene and everything. Well, what'd you think about it?
It was great, and like with this character, she's someone who definitely tears herself down. She wants to be useful, and probably a big part of it isn't just age, but her sight isn't really good, and she can see, and it's just like this big moment. It's being able to see clearly. It's a sense that's so important for. Especially during this time, that you would rely on your sight, predators and stuff. So it was a beautiful moment, and I didn't get teary-eyed, but I did get or that warm feeling in your heart. You're like, aw, can't help it.
Brian, care to tell us how you cried like a baby?
I did not cry. It was sweet, like you said. It was really well done, and I was amazed that here's a character that I dreaded when I first saw them, and I'm sitting here like, wow. Not only does it play well into the story, but like you said, it's actually a really well done and emotional moment. And like you said, the musical choice and just the way all that played out was really well done.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah. The next big thing, of course, is Kasuke, the craftsman. We need more glass. Glasses are fairly easy to make. You pour glass into a mold, and then you shape it. And they show it. They show them actually shaping the lenses, having her cover an eye, do an eye exam, like legitimately made her prescription lenses. But Senku sucks at making glass vessels, and he knows they need glass vessels for chemistry. And it's one of those moments where he said, it took me 6 months to make pottery. Mm-hmm. Brian, again, failure, trial and error, things you don't get to see in normal Genius animes. It's great.
Yeah, and also I love that whole angle because it's, yes, he has all this intelligence, yes, he knows how to do certain things, but there are certain things that require skill and time to acquire that skill, and that's sort of where how do you say his name?
Kasuke?
Yeah, that's sort of where he fits in. Here's someone who has skill.
Or Kasaki. Kasaki, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. I wanted to show him, but I was quiet. Sorry.
Y'all can pronounce it, I'm sure, way better than me. That is not a strong suit of mine. But that character has skill. His knowledge is based through experience. And I love the fact that they sort of address that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gets a monologue talking about childhood, loneliness, and
experience and natural talent, and so he's wired that way, like I was talking earlier. And it's fun watching this character get excited about stuff like, man, I got to do it. It's pissing me off. I need to do this. So he'll go and get it done, even losing sleep to make sure it gets done.
Kasaki is a great character. I like it when he goes Super Saiyan all the time, because he does. He gets raging craftsman hard-ons for making stuff and being challenged. The chemistry story is very, very, very important. A lot of characters built. The chemistry story is going to get sulfuric acid. It's the reason why they needed glass. They end up having to make gas masks in the stone world. Yeah, go figure. That's going to be the next big one. In order to go get the sulfur, or some more sulfur, more elements, and so sulfuric acid, from a volcanic sulfur pit, and you get to build the character of Ginro a bit, who's kind of wussy and wimpy, but he comes to save the day at the end. But what I really want to talk about is after they Kohaku Ginro, who Ginro gets a silver spear. The gold spear that we mentioned earlier is destroyed, making magnets, but Ginro gets a silver spear, which will help them detect
poisonous
gases around. And but anyways, they go out to collect it. Ginro gets really scared. He refuses to go out the next time, and him and Kasaki get a moment. But Brian, you brought up about the growing relationship between Chrome and Senku. The night that Senku says, "Hey, I'm going to pass on my knowledge because I might die tomorrow." Since you seem invested with those characters quite a bit, talk about it.
Well, the fact that this journey, there's some hesitation, like if we both can't die, because therefore all this knowledge would be lost. So I like that angle. And the fact that, Chrome hit a point where that episode was almost like a horror film in some ways, because there's this whole, this lingering silent death. Mm-hmm. And they're on this quest, and the way it's represented is really cool visually.
The demon.
Yeah. And so, but the fact that he, at this point in the story and for what they're trying to accomplish, Chrome is willing to lay down his life. Senku has proven before that he would be willing to lay down his life. And it's all about friendship, knowledge, hitting the goal. They're still trying to make those antibiotics. It was a great episode. And there's I can't remember how much later it happened. We'll get to it, but there's some really grim shit that happens with that, with the silent death.
Yeah, with the silent death.
I was actually shocked by that scene.
I was too, but I also want to knock him for knocking all four at once, because it should have been one at a time.
I was thinking the same thing.
He knew it was clear.
Yeah.
It seems so wrong. Dude, I'm going to kick you out of this tree eventually, just so you know, because I'm going to live. I mean, you're more than welcome to come up here and try to see if you can survive. But anyways, let's see here. I think that's great. I like Ginro and Kasaki keeps basically reverse psychologies Ginro to follow Senku and Chrome to go save the stuff. Christine, do you buy Ginro's character development? Did you like it? I think they picked a good character for him to have a conversation with about fear and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, Katsuki he's an older man. He's lived, has some wisdom, and even though he's someone who doesn't really interact with a lot of people, he's like I said, older, so he knows how to manipulate the young, and
sorry.
So he's able to get that through him and get through to him and get him to help out.
Yeah.
So
I think it was a perfect character. That's the other thing, is they pair characters real well with this, don't they? Mm-hmm. Brian?
Yeah, I mean, when you have strong characters and you know how they'll react to any situation, you can pair them, like you said, almost any way, and you're going to have really strong scenes. That's another, very positive about this show, is these characters, they do take a lot of time to really build them, and you feel like you know them. They're not going to name out any specific animes, but there have been animes where you had certain characters that were just sort of there, and you know what I mean, and they didn't have a whole lot of depth to them, and but this show takes its time to really build its characters properly.
There's 24 episodes, and honestly, it's almost like Avengers Infinity War level ability to juggle so many characters and backstories and even cultures and stuff. Like, bravo to them. They get all that they need on the chemistry thing, and there's only one thing left. They need some alcohol, and the best way to get that is to win the grand bout. It's time to have the grand bout. Takes a couple of episodes. They try to fix it to a degree by getting as many people from the Kingdom of Science to sign up, to where if they face each other, they'll throw a match, or if they're gonna face Magma, they're just gonna try to tire him out. So hopefully Kohaku or Kinro can take him out. It's got some funny moments in it, but it starts out with subterfuge with Magma's little imp mantle tying Suika to a tree to convince Kohaku that Suika fell in a river and to take her out of the fight. But the whole reason Suika went down by the river was to get a replacement for some doping stuff that Senku basically sugar and caffeine, that he also plans on using in this match. It's the first time Senku gets to set foot, because there's no rules against him, an outsider, fighting in the grand bout. And let's talk about the Magma Kinro fight, Christine. How awesome was Kinro's superhero landing once Suika got him the mask, because she realized he had the fuzzy sickness?
That was a sweet moment. Although he looked really weird wearing that melon on his head. But yeah, like, that's something that does bother me about Kinro is, he doesn't voice what's going on with him, and instead he just like hiding it. Mm-hmm. And like when they're fighting, he can't see, like, while they're practicing for the grand bout. He could just say, like, while they're making glasses, hey, why don't you try that with me? And so he just like keeps
too
inside.
proud for it. Yeah,
and it's just, that's kind of irritating. But at least he eventually learns and gets a pair finally. But so it was great for Suika to help out, because he needed the help.
I actually like the way the fight's animated. I like the training. Yeah, these aren't Dragon Ball Z fights, and this isn't even a fight to the death. They're using padded weapons because the goal is to pick a new village chief, not to kill a third of the village, because a third of the village, or two-thirds of the village signed up for the opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I dig that. Brian, any comments on Kinro and Magma?
Only that I didn't like the ending of the fight. I thought it was a little, I don't know. That was a weak point if I had any as far as the tournament. Because
Magma had already said he yielded, basically.
It was over. I still don't understand how it ended. Yeah, he's like, it's over, and then he turns around and then he hits him in the back of the head, and I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
So yeah, that I had an issue with that as far as the story was concerned. But besides that, for the most part, the tournament was fun. I like tournament style anime, so I thought it was, fun.
Yeah, if you surrender, then the fight's over. And
agreed.
Yeah, their rules suck.
Yeah, inconsistent, but you kind of have to move the story. Sometimes writers write themselves into a corner, and then you just kind of.
And I think that's exactly that's what happened, I believe, because they established at that point that Kinro is the superior fighter in the village, but he had his vision problem. Now that it's fixed, how do you address him? How can he lose? You need him to lose, but now you've already told us that he's the greatest. So that's how they did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kohaku was supposed to face Senku, which of course Senku would have just thrown, but she's out trying to save Suika, so that doesn't happen. I think they show a silly fight between Mantle and some nobody, or maybe it's Ginro. But Mantle throws the fight because Kohaku's coming back. And she's supposed to face Senku, but she doesn't make it back in time, like I said. Ginro, with all of his, it was Chrome, I think, that had to fight Mantle, and Chrome wins the fight because Mantle throws it. That's what it was. Ginro has been chewing on the doping, and he has to fight someone, and they have the funniest fight because it shows, Ginro's self-image versus his real image. Brian, I thought that was pretty funny. The whole heroic scene, and everyone saying the exact same thing. Oh wow, that's bad. That's this, that, and the other, and then they show it how it really happens, and it showed one of my favorite points, which is that words don't have any meaning until you give them meaning with context.
Yeah.
So I dug that fight as well, but it all comes down. But they basically Chrome is going to have to face Magma now. And it's a pretty intense fight. Gen eventually comes back. They use some trickery. Magma is tired, looking for an excuse to not put forth 100%. Chrome uses his own sweat and tears to make a convex lens from Suika's mask into a concave one. I think I got that right. Which, it's a great moment because it shows that Senku says he's got the wrong idea. Chrome's got the wrong idea. He can't start a fire that way. He doesn't realize that Chrome already thought about that. He already learned and remembered. Senku already taught him. I love that moment, Brian. Did you not?
Yeah, that was great. And then there was also, Gin was distracting Magma at the same time. Everyone's working together. They're using their knowledge. And like you said, showing that Chrome's remembering stuff. It was a great little sequence.
what Gin threatens Magma with the heart exploding always reminds me of Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah.
But Bill's heart really does explode, and Magma's does not. But Chrome eventually does get the fire started, and Magma gets pushed off the edge. Everything ends up with basically Genro versus Senku for the village, and they believe Genro's gonna just go ahead and throw it to Senku, but Genro finds out that he could marry the village priestess, have a harem, and be in charge, and lets the power go to his head. Christine's shaking her head.
Oh man, this guy pisses me off.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't. I'm glad that they handled it, like that. He didn't get it, but yeah, like that moment of weakness where it's like, hey, I can do this, and it's like, no, don't. God, why are you being a pig? So.
They get their alcohol. They finish making the drug. They heal Ruri. She gets to run around. And she talks a little bit about the past, and then she during the celebration, there's people that are confused at first because Senku wins the grand bout, but after he saves Ruri, they're like, okay, yeah, everything's good. Let's celebrate, and she lets out a shocker. Not only does she know who Senku is, she knows his last name, or first name in Japan, surname of Ishigami. And it turns out the village is named Ishigami Village. Brian, when that hit you, what was it like?
Yeah, that was a great moment, because that's one of those... We've been dealing with this tournament and all this stuff going on for the last several episodes, but we've not dealt with any overarching mysteries yet. And so I'm immediately thinking, well, maybe this ties into why they were frozen in the first place. It doesn't really, well, not really, but
nope.
It sparked my thought of, okay, here's a big reveal. Where is this going to take us?
Right. And then, Christine, we learn about Bakuya Ishigami, who is the stepfather of Senku and tried to go to space, didn't make it, but gets to make it on the second trip. And we learn how much he loves his kid, how much his kid does love Bakuya, loves his dad, but they respect each other's differences. You pointed out that they're...
like the way they speak to each other, like how Kohaku had called him out on it, like, I can't believe he speaks to his dad that way. And then her dad is like, you're not really any different. And, all teary-eyed. And it's like, but the difference is, like, you had also, like, we were, like, going back and forth with it. You had said that, I had said that they were okay with how they spoke. Mm-hmm. Bakuya and Senku. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like, that's just the way they communicate, and they're okay with it. But what is Kohaku's dad's name again? I don't remember.
I forget.
Yeah, well, the former chief, he's not okay with it, and Kohaku can't see that. That maybe she shouldn't. You gotta know how to talk to someone on their level. So it's.
Well, she purposely was trying to set distance because she felt if they asked her at one point, they said, start learning the 100 tales from your sister. And she's like, no, if I do that, she loses the whole purpose to live. And I think she'll die. So Kohaku she ostracizes herself on purpose.
Yeah, but that's a little different because, like, even with the shield scene where they talk about it
where
later.
She's just like, yeah, here, use the shield. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and then they go on it again, and the dad is like, well, if if it's still useful for you, that's all that matters. And she's like, no, not really.
That is true. That is pretty cold.
Yeah.
Cold-blooded.
Know how to read people.
So yeah, the thing that we learn is that on June 1st, I think it is, the Bakuya and the Soyuz rocket leave Earth, and then on June 3rd, Earth is petrified with 6 international astronauts aboard the ISS.
Well, no, because the singer, she paid a lot of money to get there. So there's 5 and then her.
She's still technically an astronaut.
I thought she just paid her way.
Doesn't matter. Still technically an astronaut.
She went through her training.
She's an American astronaut.
Okay, well.
There we go. Brian, is she an astronaut?
Talking about the Britney Spears character?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
There we go. So 6. Christine, you kind of saw things out of order because I got you into the show after I already got into it, but realizing that that's where the village came from, these 6 humans that were on the I never thought about
I didn't
space.
think about that either. Yeah, it was always wondered, watching it, how are these people here? And yeah, when they revealed it, it was just really surprising. Oh, wow.
It was
That's crazy.
Floored the fuck out. I'm not kidding you, Brian. When they revealed that it was Bakuya and did you from the time Senku wakes up from Stone, did you once think about the International Space Station?
No, not the space station. At that point, I was thinking, and this will tie into our predictions also, because I was like, is there possible, because there's people, so I'm like, all right, and were they thought out the same way? I doubt it. At this point, I'm like, no, I don't think that was the case necessarily. So is there any kind of structure that potentially could shield you from this thing? And so that was my theory.
So you're thinking maybe subterranean,
something, exactly.
Something.
I was like, that's probably something.
I like how it's a bit of a throwback to go back a little bit, but I like how Senku tries to rationalize how people were petrified. He's like, okay, let's think about the ridiculous. Aliens, we don't like you, we're gonna hit you with our Petra Ray.
I like that.
And then he's like,
yeah.
And then he's like, let's think a little bit more realistic. What if humans did it and it escaped and caused untold the wrong damage. They didn't mean to petrify everybody, right? It's a military weapon. And then he's like, or it's a virus or a bacteria, a disease. All brilliant ideas and all possibilities, but we get to learn that these Ruri tells us basically that these 6 astronauts get back to Earth. Bakuya kind of acts as the leader, even though he's not a scientist, he's a teacher. He helps them start, society, having kids, organizing things, saying, hey, we got to get to mainland Japan. They're nearby, because that's where Senku is, and he just knows deep down Senku will figure out this problem. And so during episodes 16 and 17, Back to the Future, it's basically Ruri showing us what happened for a few years on Earth after June 3rd, off the coast of Japan, and then eventually moving on to Japan. Like I said, Brian, it floored me. I'd never seen anything like this before. I still think this is a great twist.
Yeah, it reminded me, Planet of the Apes was the first thing that it absolutely hit me when I was thinking about that. Just the idea of, okay, they were, in space, came to Earth, and, it's different. That was sort of the thought I had, but I was very curious, and they touch on it a little bit, but I'm like, damn, that's a very lean gene pool. Mm-hmm. That was one of my first thoughts.
Yes.
Three breeding pairs. I mean, you basically have to say, look, we're going to have to be polygamous or polyamorous or poly, whatever the phrase will be for for genetic diversity.
And that's just weird, especially if it's like someone you don't really like, but
Yeah.
you're friendly with. Like I can't remember the one guy's name, but one of the astronauts. It's kind of hard to like him because he's just a little too cold.
One of the Russian guys.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I only eat for
Nutrients.
nutrients instead of for pleasure. Nothing. I'm not into anything pleasurable, and it's like, yeah, I don't like you, dude.
Yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
you're right, Brian, and I'm right. Yeah, unfortunately, regardless of how Westerners or modern humans feel about sexual relationships, when you're looking at 3 females and 3 males, you're like doing the math. Yeah, we need some genetic diversity here. So yeah, luckily you had like an American, a Japanese, a Russian,
3.
3 Russians, 2 Americans, and a Japanese. That's what it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, anything else you want to say about these episodes, Brian?
No.
Christine?
No, I think we covered it.
So let's get back to reality, where the Sukasa Empire makes its first move against the new kingdom of science.
Spear guy.
Spear guy. Kyoga. There it is. Kyoga. Spear guy. Kyoga. Kyoga's a very, very like powerful whole fighter and is or Hyoga, not Kyoga. Hyoga. Capable of doing some bad stuff, but Senku's able to help beat them back by making them think he's already produced a gun, using some subterfuge from Gin, who sabotages Hyoga's Kodo, whatever the fuck he calls his goddamn spear. He sabotages it, so when Hyoga and the guys from Sukasa come back during a storm, so they can't use the guns that don't exist, Senku surprises them with his next big invention, the katana, which I thought was brilliant to do, to
so
bring
cool.
the katana, to bring swords to,
that
to
was
the
awesome.
fight.
And good choice too, because you want something that isn't too heavy, something that they can work with, and
Something that
since
they're
he already
similar.
yeah, something that he understands how to make as well. I thought it was cool that he knew how to make it.
Oh yeah, that he knew that
It had like 10 folds
in the
with
past, but you
metal.
only needed 2. Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool. The reality scenes basically leave us with a girl by the name of Homura, another revived from Sukasa, burns down a huge chunk of the village. They didn't lose anybody. Senku saves the day. Suika saves the day. Gen saves the day. The village saves the day, and we can close the chapter on all of that. Right? We're good to go. Anybody else got anything that we think we may have missed? Any mistakes or anything?
We only one thing. It was a little earlier. We never said what the gift was for
Oh,
Gen.
the gift, yes. So Gen, after he got attacked, before he leaves, because Senku was the first one to point out, when Gen showed up, if we kill him, Sukasa's going to come looking for him. So we need to make sure we convert him. Gen asks Senku for a cola. Just one cola, an ice cold one, because that's the least he could do. And Gen does get his soda after the water wheel is invented, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. because he's freaking out over the carbonated water, which is needed for the chemistry. And he says he's invited to the celebration, and he says, "No, I'm a cola guy." And there's that cola setting for him. Brian, you really like that touch?
Well, it's just one of those, if you're in an apocalypse, there, I always fear the idea of not having a warm shower. Like, that's my nightmare scenario. But I could see a hot ass day sitting around in a world in which there is no soda, thinking, damn, I could go for a cold, soda right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was one of those simple things. He knew he was in a situation where Senku was the only person probably living on the planet that could even do this, achieve this. And so I thought it was a nice touch. It
was. And there's a even better touch between Gen and Senku here in a little bit. After this whole thing goes down, Senku's like, okay, look, we need to start working towards the next thing. We're going to be going to war with these guys. They're going to come in the spring, because just like us in the winter, we need to prepare for the winter. And the best thing that we could do is have cell phones, which is a joke, because Taiju was always asking about cell phones, because of course 17-year-old kid's going to miss having a cell phone. But he's right. Communication is key in battle, and that's what he wants to make, a way to communicate with Taiju and Yuzuriha, but also a way to communicate with forces across a battlefield to plan attacks. Christine, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think for today, anyone would miss their smartphone.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's...
Except Brian.
Well, it's a great multitasker. It's, the Swiss Army knife of technology. You can do math on it. You can play a game. You can look something up on the internet. You can call a friend. So there's a lot you can do with it. It's very useful. So I think anyone would miss that, and they would want to have that. But yeah.
So the voices across infinite distances, they actually have a lot of what they need. The Age of Energy is really great. When they make the gear and the cotton candy machine, which is you see, the water wheel comes later. Where does that cola come in at?
It's early. It's
the water wheel's after the fight.
It's before the tournament.
No, cola's got to come after the thing, because the water wheel is constructed in episode 20.
When does he goes back?
He goes back.
And then he comes back.
And then he comes back.
Comes back.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then that's when he gets the cola, is when he arrives for the second time.
Right. The sneaky sabotage by Gen. Yeah, after he comes back the second time. After after the Back to Reality episode. So yeah. The Age of Energy, basically they're gonna make radios. They're calling them cell phones, but we're really talking about radio communication. He knows he's going to need to make wires, so he creates a cotton candy machine that doesn't work very well because of the way it's spinning and slowing down at certain points of the spin. So he comes up with the gear and changes everything. And that gear inspires Chrome and Kaseki to go make a water wheel, which is an invention that they don't even know what it is. They just know that with a gear and flowing water, that they could get endless spinning, and that would help the cotton candy machine for wire. It's a brilliant another moment, Christine, of showing that Sukasa's idea that you can snuff out science is impossible.
Yeah, it just, with this, it's all sped up with the help of Senku, but it's inevitable. People, they grow, they change, things progress in life. No one wants to stay. That's another thing, with me, I I don't like Sukasa. He's smart, but he's not. And that's like one of the things. It's like it's inevitable. Mm-hmm. Why? I don't know. I can't stand him.
I thought it was a great moment, mm-hmm. Brian, and I really love when the naming of the device comes up for discussion. I think it speaks a lot, like I said, to that whole idea. Sukasa, your point, your whole idea is futile.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Brian?
Well, yeah, and Senku realizing the knowledge I've given these guys and what we've accomplished here, if I were to perish, it would keep going. And yes. You know, that's that moment where he's like, oh, you know, it really hits him, and yeah, it's a strong moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And another couple of great moments come up. Gen gets to connect with Kasake, which is great. Kasaki, I don't know why I always want to say K, because it's weird. I don't know. Anyways, we get to see Senku help out the entire village with wood-burning stoves because he needs coal. But it's weird that this village never had... They had fire pits in their house.
That was weird to me. Yeah, that they had no system like that.
But they had no stoves. But then again, I mean, they could have stone stoves, you know, stone hearths at least to for the fire pits, which would be safer than just a hole surrounded by dirt and wood. But
yeah, it's kind of strange. Like they have all these interesting stories with the 100 Tales, and I know, like, with technology, it's gonna fade. Everything is going to wear out, and they don't have the skills to make new ones. You know, because it takes a special person to make stuff. You know, different wiring for people's brains. But you know, you'd think that they would at least come up with that, some way to keep warm in the home.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, they had the fire pits, but it's just another example of, and Senku brings it up. Look, we got most of the stuff that we need from our past work. And Brian, you mentioned it before. Each thing leads to the next, not just because it has to, but it naturally did the first time around, and it naturally is this time around. It's just augmented a bit. Because we know about it now, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And it's amazing because we're talking about the last several episodes, and he's trying to make a phone. And at first, I remember when they even said that was surprising to me. I was like, because it's like we've got a war is coming. You know, we have an enemy who we got to face. What is it we're going to build? And it's like a phone.
Yeah,
and I was like, what? And then that's basically the rest of the damn season is the steps to achieve that, and yet it was engaging, and yeah,
and very, 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 very as all three of us should know as army brats, all of us have heard our fathers come home from the field and bitch about the radio communications, or why this FTX didn't go well, and radios are always communications always key. So I get why Senku wants the communication device. There's some cool inventions here dealing with like the light bulbs and the Christmas thing that happened with the
lights in the
tree. Lights in the tree, yeah. I thought was really nice. Let's see here. They use the water wheel to mechanize the electricity. They make batteries. They mechanize iron making.
Vacuum tube.
There's the word I was looking for. But the vacuum tube gives them trouble, and they need it. They absolutely are right. You have to have it. And Senku almost gives up for a moment when Brian's least favorite character saves the day. And we learn that there is hope because somewhere around is a source of tungsten. Dun dun dun. Does anyone know if it actually glows like that in UV light?
I was wondering that. Yeah, I don't know.
Here, I'll look it up.
I really don't know. Does raw tungsten glow in UV light? What did you think about using her to be the exposition for and vehicle for tungsten, Brian?
Oh yeah, it was cool.
Instead of it being like Chrome to figure it out or something, yeah.
Yeah,
it does glow in the dark. Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Very pretty color.
So there you go. Yeah, I think it goes to your comments about good use of characters, good pairing. And speaking of pairing, the treasure hunt crew, one of the very, very last 3 episodes, to go get the tungsten, Senku, Chrome, and Magma go to a cave to get all that the materials that they're going to need, including the tungsten. And I'm having a little issue, Brian. Maybe you can kind of explain.
Well, they're in
what happens with Magma and the change of heart and even what's his name when he feels bad for what he said. Like,
Chrome.
Yeah, go.
they're in a situation where they're, like you said, they're in this cave and they're trying to get this mineral, this rock, and they need Magma because he's strong. and the ground is not stable. I'm trying to they go to fall. Mm-hmm. They go to fall and he pushes. Is it Senku? No, it's Chrome.
Senku.
Is it Senku?
Yeah, Senku's
because both of them end up.
Fall.
Yeah, but he's showing that he's actually trying to help. And then, because Chrome's outside is it Chrome outside? Yeah, because he's the one who figures out how to get them out with the water, filling it up so that because at first they're stuck in the bottom of this pit and it's like, oh, there's no way in hell they can get out. So he figures out, we fill it with water and they'll be able to come up. Of course, the water is really cold and that becomes a challenge. But it was odd. It was sort of the Magma is the his redemption story because of all the horrible things that had been established about him earlier. And I thought it was interesting because he was a character I didn't know where they were going to go. I had a feeling, and hell, it still might happen, but I had a feeling that he may be a character that betrays them, that turns against them, and that's what they were setting up. And then you had this episode, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're establishing that no, he is part of the crew and he does care, but that doesn't necessarily mean going forward that'll hold true. I don't know. But
exactly, Christine.
I don't know, because I mean, there's so many things that have made life more comfortable for them, and Senku can keep them all going. So I don't think that Magma would, in my opinion, because I know that I would. And it's like, you gave me candy, you gave me ramen, you gave me a warm, comfortable home, and it's I didn't win the grand bout and I'm not chief, but I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah, but you're not Magma.
I know, but like
I can see Brian's point. Brian, I'm kind of like, or actually, let me ask this to Christine because I do see Brian's point, but I'm kind of at the point now to where because of what happened, I would be upset if he betrayed them. Would you be upset if Magma betrayed them, or do you?
Yeah, I mean, especially hearing word of what Sukasa is doing, and he's a big threat. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if he were going to betray, he would definitely have to wait until after Sukasa is destroyed, because that would leave them vulnerable, because there's more things to bring back from the past to make sure that they stay safe. So it would be really foolish to do that.
Unless he just plans on like Brian's guessing as a potential, join Sukasa and let that empire run the village and shit.
But then it's him not. Yeah, well, you don't know.
Well, that's true, Brian. Could Magma let Sukasa be in charge?
To me, his character, I don't know, but I think Sukasa would whoop Magma's ass, but I don't know. He's a character that represents sort of that brawn and that thirst for power. So his ideology seems to align with Sukasa, but at the same time, he has. You're right. He has gotten a taste of science and what a new world could be. And maybe that's enough for him to say, yeah, I was wrong in what it was I wanted. I don't know. I think his character is the one I am very interested to see where they go with him, what side he leans on.
Well, we do know that he keeps a promise to Gen, who hatched a plan when the three left, to build an observatory. And for Senku's birthday, January 4th, which the villagers call Stone Day, thanks to Bakuya, of course, creating the first post-apocalyptic holiday. He would name it after his, or base it off of his stepson's birthday, his son's birthday. You get a really great moment. Senku ruins it by saying, oh yeah, we can use this awesome telescope to spy on Sukasa, which is true. They can do that. They make their cell phone. You get a funny little song about making batteries from Gen. That's silly. The first voice said over the phone is Chrome, basically saying how badass it is that they've got a phone now. And the final episode deals with part of the 100 Tales saying, oh, this thing is like a speaker, and it cues Gen and Senku off. Why do you know this word speaker? And they talk about a bee that can stick its needle in a stone and hear voices from the past, which Senku puts it all together. My dad left me a fucking record in his headstone.
Yeah.
Which is our epilogue episode. So the main part of the season ends. Success, cell phone. We got to create a second one, though, so we can talk to other people. This epilogue is this record. It just kind of gives us a little bit more exposition, and then ends basically saying we're going to make contact with Taiju and Yuzuriha, and we're going to prepare for the Stone Wars. The last scene we see for the season is Yuzuriha and
Taiju
together, and Taiju almost yells out, hey, we're coming, Senku. And they show that there are Sukasa spies watching Yuzuriha and Taiju. So, whew, man, we made it, guys. Lot to get through. Thank you, everyone that has stuck with us for that sweet, beautiful listening and watch time. Numbers. Love it. Thank you. Let's talk about what we think is going to happen next, Christine, in season 2. What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't, I've thought about it, and I've thought about, what I want to see, what could happen, and it's really hard to think about it. But I did think of an invention, and I don't know how he would do it. But like something that could happen if they battle, like a tactic would be like to set their homes on fire, or like I don't know if he would have the ability,
scorched earth type thing, like traps.
Well, not. I was thinking more like with like arrows on fire, like arrows with Sukasa. So it's like maybe something that
burned down Sukasa's food stores or something like that.
Yeah, and you know that the clearing area.
Damn, that's harsh, Christine.
That's what I would do. It's like you destroy their crap.
I would too.
And so I was thinking if maybe Senku could, you know, think of that and like maybe there would be like a small fire that would happen, and then he could invent some way of extinguishing fires.
Oh, I bet we're gonna see trebuchets, catapults, and some siege weapons. I bet we will.
I don't know if Sukasa has the ability to make something that advanced.
No, Senku does.
Yeah, but it would be cool to see Senku make something like that.
Brian, that dark thing, since Christine just went real dark, that dark thing you wanted to talk about earlier, there's a scene that poisonous gas comes back. Brian was right, and I forgot to mention it. During the Back to Reality episodes, Suika tries to lead Sukasa's forces away, and she heads towards where the poison gas is. Kohaku and Senku figure out. They rescue her just in time. But Sukasa's people jump up in the tree because they don't know if there's poisonous gas there or not. And Hyoga's like, oh, you know what? Let's find out whether or not there is. And he kicks the 4 brutish dudes that were with him all down at once and kills them in poisonous gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I remember when it happened, I was like, oh, shit. And they died. Because I didn't think I thought they would land, and they'd be like, you know, they'd be okay. But when they actually died, I was like, oh, okay.
Dead.
Which, honestly, I mean, if you're thinking about it, it doesn't seem smart to kill all 3, but it kind of does, because then it's the other 2, or however many there are extra, where it's like he could turn on me. So, you know, you got to get rid of all of them to know, because they know now that they're just that expendable. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to stick around and follow a man who would want to kill me just that easy. Like, oh, you don't matter. You're, you know.
I don't know. Homura and Hyoga, I think could hold their own. And I would, if I was Hyoga, knowing that I'm that much of a badass, I'd be like, look, I'm going to knock you guys out of this tree one at a time in roughly 30-minute increments. I don't know. What about you, Brian? How would you do it? 30-minute increments?
Something like that. I would have knocked the first. How many was it? 3 or 4?
I think there's four total.
I would have knocked at least half of them off, and then the other 2, I'd have been like, in 30 minutes, I'd be like, all right, one of you've got to fall. Y'all figure it out.
No, lie. Just like the weakest one, you knock him out, and then just lie to them like, oh, well, he's the weakest one, and now we know we should stay up here for a while, and then just kind of wait it out and like, and see your death. Knock him out too.
Brian, I know one of your biggest complaints for season 1, and I'm guessing it's one of the number 1 things you want to see from season 2. Go ahead and say that.
Sukasa's camp.
Yep.
Like, I want to see it. Like, we do see it, and we get a couple glimpses of it, but we get no in-depth showing of us how the politics or how things operate or how they're getting their food and water. You know, we don't get any real breakdown of how their society is working, other than a few little quick flashes. So I was hoping, it's funny because as we were getting into the series, I was assuming we'd get an episode or 2 they would almost be exclusively from that side, and that never happened.
And that was a missed opportunity.
And so I guess it was to keep the whole Taiju stuff, not to bring that up yet, because clearly I guess that'll play into the next season. But
leave it like a mystery.
Yeah. So what are you hoping to see in the Stone Wars, which is what season 2 so far is being called, Brian?
So I got like 5 little points here. I'll go through them real quick. Obviously, Taiju and that angle, how that's going to play out. So we're going to have to get more into Sukasa's, village.
People, yeah.
Maybe they don't have to answer it, but maybe a little more question on the green light. Maybe a little hint or something. They don't have to go completely into it in season 2, but I'd like it to come up and maybe start exploring that. Are there any other people? Is it just these 2 factions? Is there any other groups?
They do make mention of that the village has sent criminals away in the past. So
yeah, so a lot of questions of that, and then tools of war, which y'all were talking about earlier. That's exciting to think. Okay, we're going to be in the middle of the war. Who's going to be the more offensive? Who's going to be more defensive? And how is Senku going to use that to his advantage? And what is he going to build? And then finally, legitimate casualties. Are we going to lose anyone important? And if so, who and how? You know.
Yep.
I don't know who I'm willing to say goodbye to, but I do know one that would be. I know the one that would be easiest to do, that would still suck, but be felt the least, and that would be Kasaki. And then the one that would piss me the fuck off, but I think story-wise would be so cathartic, so perfect, and that's Gen. To see Gen sacrifice and die this season, story-wise, that's amazing, but that would make me sad.
Yeah, any of them would make me sad.
Is there anyone you're willing to say goodbye to? Who, Brian?
Gen's a good theory. Because that's a character I could see making that sacrifice, because the idea of the character is he's going to play both sides, and he's pretty upfront about that. And so for him to choose a side and defend Senku and his village and sacrifice himself, that'd be a weighty way to end. It's called Stone Wars. I mean, this whole season's about this conflict, this war. So there's got to be a consequence of some kind for it to have any weight. I think. I
agree.
Yeah, and something that I'm curious about is how many more people is Sukasa gonna revive? Because if you think about it, in modern times there's not a lot of fighters, and there's a lot of people.
What are you talking about, Christine? They're in Japan. Everyone's a ninja. Didn't you know? Don't you watch 1980s action movies?
No. It's just like there's been people that have been destroyed by like falling buildings and things like that. So it's like there's not really. I mean, he had this like whole group of statues he wanted to revive, and you're looking at all of them, and they're almost all of these big, muscular men, and you're just like, that can't be. How did you find all these people? One
in Japan.
Well, not just that. I'm just saying, like, where are they? Like, how did you find them? How did you find so many of them?
Brian, he remembered where the last Japan wrestling event was, and he just went and got those statues.
He went to maybe Wrestle Kingdom was happening that week. He went to the New Japan, got the IWGP
New Japan. That's
champions.
What it's. Yeah.
I imagine the amount of protein that they're going to need to sustain all those giant guys.
Oh God.
Yeah, and they don't have the ability, like, because they covered canning.
Husbandry, no canning, no nothing. No, they gotta smoke and salt stuff to store it.
Yep.
Yeah. Fuck that.
I know they were prepping, for everything, but it's just like it's still like they don't have the skills,
No, they don't. So that about does it. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Christine, you got your notes? Anything else you wanted to put out?
Yeah. I mean, I covered what I liked about it. I did want to cover what I didn't like about it.
Okay, go ahead.
I know I covered a little bit about Sukasa and why I didn't like him, but it seems like his biggest problem is that he's not someone who's self-aware. He is what he hates. He's talking about, like in the beginning, he was talking about, how there were the powerful people owning things, and it's like, but in this type of world, he is the powerful. It's not. And
you're trying to take this village that wants nothing to do with you, and yet you're trying to take it away.
So it's just like, even though he's someone who is, he shows himself to be smart. Like he got that Senku was hiding the fourth thing, and then he figured out without anything that it was gunpowder.
Because he figured out where they were going was
exactly,
a
and
known
it was
sulfur spot.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, you're someone who's smart, but you're not really that smart, you know? So it was kind of annoying. And then also, Taiju never said how he felt about Yuzuriha. He wanted to keep that until after everything, when they were doing the hot spring.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, I found that really annoying. So it's just like, just say it.
Did he tell her?
5 years, and then it was 3,000 years.
Did he tell her during this last year?
Yeah, like, we don't know, but it's just like, it doesn't. I don't know. I find it annoying. This guy just like, say something or just shut up. So, you know.
Brian, anything else on season 1 or season 2 theories? Hopes?
That's about it. I agree with those points. I didn't even remember that. Yeah, that was very anime though.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just like, oh,
You know.
I can't profess my love yet because I gotta wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about this anime that aren't
Stereotypical.
exactly, but then that one is, and it's just kind of like,
Gotta have something.
Can't help but roll your eyes.
Gotta have something fit the stereotype for anime, I guess. So why not? Overall, I give this anime. I've never read the manga, so I'm giving this based on every other anime that I've watched. I give this first season a solid A. Brian?
I concur. Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing, because I mean, it would have been an A+, but
No Sukasa stuff.
yeah, 'cause I hate him. So yeah, that's why it's an A, because everything else is just that good. And with this first season, we didn't get too much of him, which is kind of a bummer. But then also, I didn't want to be irritated listening to this hypocrite speak. I don't.
So pretty much same thing for you, Brian. It loses that half point because we didn't get to spend time with Sukasa enough.
Yeah, I mean, we had 24 episodes, and
yeah.
we're building up these two forces that are going to go to war, and we didn't get as much from one of them as I think we may have needed. But we don't know. I have no idea how they're going to structure season 2 with flashbacks and how they're going to break it down. So all that may be, not an issue.
Yeah. Well, we shall know very shortly, because Crunchyroll is going to be airing the subtitles. Distribution, Funimation will be doing the dubs. No official date on when the dubs will start, ladies and gentlemen. Please stay tuned. Follow us at LRM_exclusive. Follow me at that Kyle Malone on Twitter for scheduling, and of course the website LRMonline.com. Keep your eye on there. We will definitely let you guys know as these episodes are hitting, when our reviews are going up. And Christine, Brian, thanks for being on. I'm excited to do this, and hopefully maybe it'll turn into doing more anime stuff with the website down the road.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. So, Brian, thanks for being here, as always. I already said the website. You guys also check out our YouTube channel. All of our podcasts go up there, as well as up to all of the podcast channels, Spotify, SoundCloud, all of that. Guys, we're putting out like 10 podcasts a week. So please follow, subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. Brian, I plugged your channel for you earlier, but just in case somebody didn't catch it, go ahead.
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. The channel is PulpMythos, PulpMythos. That's one word. Doing reviews for shows like 30 Coins, Your Honor, The Stand. So yeah, check it out.
There you guys go. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you next time.